What's up, everybody? It's your favorite show, Get a Bucket. I'm your host, Trey, and as usual, hope you're all having a wonderful, wonderful day. Today, we're going to talk about the NBA's 65 game threshold. Now, should there be, well, all right, okay, first and foremost, y'all might be wondering, what am I talking about, right? Well, it's essentially this. NBA players, in order to win the MVP award, the Defensive Player of the Year award, all these different accolades, right? In order to win those awards, you have to play 65 or more games during the NBA season. So we ask and wonder, how much do games played matter? They always say the best ability is availability, right? And some of the players have been complaining over the game threshold being 65 games, right? Now keep in mind, again, it's 65 games out of 82 games played. That's 79% of the games you should play. That's not bad, all right? That's a high seed. In I'll say March 26, 2023, I actually stated on my show, I believe that the players should have to play 60 games out of 82. That's a 73% games played. That's easy. That's on the lower scale of the C's. That's borderline C minus. All right, so I feel like that's fair personally. One of my boys actually said that he believes they should play 75 games, which is 92% of the season. So as you can tell, there are high expectations out there. I thought 60 was fair. C's get degrees. But why is the games played threshold fair? Well, we got a couple things. Like, for example, Bill Walton's MVP, because some people have a gripe about that MVP, which personally, I can make the case that I even have a gripe with that MVP. Like, Kareem could have won that one. I'm just saying, bro. I'm really lost. I understand they had a better team, but still, yeah, I'm a little bit flabbergasted at that one myself. But still, Bill Walton's MVP. That's one of the reasons why the games threshold matters, because Bill Walton actually played, 58 games that season, right? You also eliminate bias, okay? So again, like, we're encouraging players to be available. You get to preserve the award's integrity. Okay, you also improve the regular season value, and it impacts contract incentives. Because you can throw in, okay, well, all NBA selections matter, and now you can give a little bit more wiggle room from an organizational standpoint. But also, players might actually work a little harder in maintaining their bodies. We can't talk about, there's bias in terms of NBA award selections, because guess what? They had to, one, play a specific amount of games. That gives you a solid baseline to follow. And on top of that, too, it helps against load managing. And when I say load managing, I mean unnecessary resting, because I do believe in load managing to a degree, but unnecessary resting. Like, if you can play, again, for me, you get 60 games to play. So I'm a little generous. I'm a little more generous than the NBA is. But again, that's why it's fair. Why it's not fair, ladies and gentlemen. Why the games played threshold is not fair. What happens if there's like a major injury? Should players be penalized for a major injury? Like, let's say Paul George years ago, right? He can't make them games up. What if he was close and he gets that level of injury? Is he just automatically cut? That is tough. Cade Cunningham, for example, collapsed lung at 60, 61 games? Oh, that's disgusting. Now, keep in mind, based on my standards played, he would have made the cut at 60, 61 games played. But by the NBA standards, he might not be able to make that MVP award. Is something like that hurtful? Because Cade been hooping this year. Cade been getting a bucket this year for sure. And passing the ball so that way his team can get a bucket. Like, Detroit Pistons kind of nice. So, I mean, and then also, are we putting too much pressure on players? Because, again, things like injuries, they do happen, right? We're human, okay? So should we be putting that much level of pressure on players? Also, could we be encouraging risky play? Because while we want players to play, we want them to be safe. And if you're going to go out there and play because you understand it could be affecting your contract or even your all-NBA selection or all-star, whatever the case may be, I mean, do I believe that you should go out there even when you hurt? To a degree. But will it force you to go out there a little bit, hence the too much pressure on players? I'm just saying, and let's not forget too, I think, again, when I mentioned Bill Walton earlier, right? There are instances where players who have played less games are more dominant than players who have played more games. Like, for example, I said Mikal Bridges should have been all NBA selection, but that was because of the games played. He had actually played 83 games in an 82-game season, ladies and gentlemen. That's ridiculous. And he had good stats to boot. Meanwhile, other players who were probably better talented are playing less games. So that's an example of when dominance doesn't get accounted for because of fewer games played. Now, I will say this, okay? If we do start lowering the games threshold, then I expect for ticket prices to also be lowered as well, too. Just point blank, period. Because that means that players going to be missing games, which they can miss games. Again, that's fair. I've already given them 22 games to be missed. But at the same time, ladies and gentlemen, if we start pushing that down more, that's going to be a little tough. And I expect as a paying customer, fans need to be treated with respect. Because again, we're kind of who generates your paycheck just a little bit. We influence the paycheck just a little bit. And now let's give some examples of some players, some notable players that probably wouldn't have made an all-NBA selection if the games threshold had actually counted. Because remember, the games threshold really started 2024, right, to be clear. So when I said this March 26, 2023, I said it before the season has started, before it was implemented. You know what I'm saying? So if we actually took the game's threshold back to the inception, okay? Steph Curry, he wouldn't have been able to be an all-NBA caliber player between 21 and 23, which is crazy because he won a championship during that season, and 26. LeBron James couldn't have been one in 19, 21 through 23, and also 26. Talking about the years, by the way. Kobe Bryant couldn't have been one in 99 or 2012. Michael Jordan, the GOAT himself, couldn't have been there in 2001. Joel Embiid couldn't have been there when I think about it, his entire career. And then Bill Walton couldn't have been there between 75 through 77, 78 through 84. Wow. And then 87 through 88. So pretty much only about 2 seasons of Bill Walton's career could he have been MVP. And again, like I said, I still have a couple of questions as to why he was MVP to begin with. But again, that's another discussion for another day. Bottom line is the 65 games threshold rule. It's about balancing entertainment, fairness, and players' health, right? It does strengthen the value of consistency and availability as well, too. But it does have some risks, all right? It's especially in some extreme cases, too. So again, ladies and gentlemen, I do understand the game's threshold. If they lowered it 5 more games, I wouldn't be mad because, one, we won't be complaining because now you couldn't say, oh, well, Cade Cunningham missed that. Well, I mean, I hear you. And to be fair, it would be unfair and unfortunate if Cade missed that because he's been hooping. But end of day, rules are rules. So again, ladies and gentlemen, as y'all can tell, I do like the game's threshold accounted for. And I do actually plan on going back throughout the history to apply my games played threshold just to see how each player stacks up in comparison. How would their all NBAs, how would their awards look differently? So I'm curious about that person. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm curious about you all. What do you feel about the NBA's 65 threshold? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you think they should lower it? Do you think they should increase it? Because again, I told you, somebody told me they should play 75 games in order to make the awards, which is crazy to hear. But again, I'm very curious what your thoughts are. So please make sure to like, subscribe, comment, tell anyone who's anyone about the show. My name is Trey. I'm the host of Get a Bucket. I hope you were all having a good one. Take care.